In this practice session, we're going to dissolve the gates of the eyes, the temples, the third eye, the ears, and the jaw. But first, let's settle in by making sure the structure of the body is grounded and connected down through the ankles and feet. So as you're settling in with the arms resting by your sides, a nice long spine, you can just rock forward and back slightly and get the feeling that the feet connect to the floor. So you need to loosen the ankles, relax especially the fronts of the ankles, the tops of the feet, and just start by sensing, however you're holding the rest of the body, how your weight is settling down through the feet and into the floor. Whatever else you're coming from in your day for this practice session, starting here with this gentle settling in and grounding is really key to getting the most out of your dissolving session. So whatever layer you're feeling into of the body, wherever your mind is going, just let gravity take over a little bit. Slowly correct and align your structure so that you're getting an even distribution of weight through the centers of the arches and spreading to the ball, the heel, and through the whole foot. Now, just relax the knees as you're doing this too. With our knees, we want the fronts of the knee to release and relax so that there's almost a cascading effect to the grounding through the ankles and feet that comes right down through the shins. So dropping through the fronts of the knees, through the ankles, through the feet, and into the floor. This is going to start to help you align the whole body. But it's always tied to the connection through the feet. At the same time, if you release and relax the knees and you start to feel compression or pressure into the fronts of the knees, that's not what we want. So from the back of the knee or deep inside the knee, you just want to see that there's a lifting and a rising from the back that helps open the knee. So dropping in the front, a sense of space in the back. And this is your root. This is how you settle in before you start to feel through the rest of the body. And as you're doing this settling process, if a sense of heaviness or weight goes down through the legs, down into the feet, and ideally into the floor, you're on the right track. And you don't have to focus on it too much, but it's great if you can maintain some of that heaviness and some of that drop as you bring awareness up to the crown of your head. So in this series, we're always going to go back and check in with what we did in the exercise before or the week before, and then we build on that, add new pieces, and finish by getting everything to go all the way down into the ground. So we're progressively clearing our whole energetic matrix of stagnant chi. So feeling at the crown of the head, and do a similar process of going in from the whole surface, the whole top of the head, still staying on the surface, not going in terms of depth, but like concentric rings in towards the middle point. Bring your awareness to the point at the crown of the head, the very topmost point. And just let your mind sit there for a few minutes. until you sort of gather your awareness there. As we go into the body, it's important to have a unified sense of your intention, your mind, your awareness to scan through. So one way to think about what we're doing right now is this kind of pooling and gathering so that you can bring more presence and more awareness through the rest of your system. Now let's begin to feel downward, coming down to the temples. And just like we did at the top of the head, feel on the left side and the right side of your head at the temples first what the general area is. And then see over the next minute or two if from the general area you can feel to the center of each of those sections. And this one is interesting because you're feeling on the left side and the right side of the body simultaneously. And at first there's a tendency for the awareness to kind of ping-pong back and forth, jump from left to right to left to right. But as you train this process over time, you'll find that feeling two areas of the body simultaneously is something that the mind sort of expands or expands to do, rather than being in one place and then jumping to another and vice versa. And just try to sit your mind into a place where it can feel left side and right side at the same time. Now coming back to your midline, again on the surface of the body, bringing your awareness into the third eye, or right on the center of your body between the eyebrows, more or less. Again, I'll give you general areas for each gate, but what you want to do with this practice over time is to begin to develop the sensitivity to feel the difference between the energy of the gate and the physical tissue. And you don't have to worry if you can't feel energetically or can't sort of feel a difference between the tissue and the energy of the gate that sort of governs that area. And this is the whole point of the approach we want to take, that if I tell you specifically where a point is and you can't feel it, you'll visualize it. You won't connect to it the same way. But if I tell you generally where to look and you just question what does it feel like in that general area, over time you'll stumble upon the difference between your physical body and your energy, and the energy that runs the physical body. And that's a big accomplishment. So for now, you start in the general area and you just see what you can feel. Now feeling down from the third eye into the eyes, And as you're feeling your eyes, there are three things you want to notice. The first, which I find the easiest and I think is helpful to feel, is not the eyeball itself, although that's kind of the second thing you'll notice. But in order to feel the eyeball itself, it's often very helpful to feel the orbit, the bone, the space where the eyeball sits. And if you can start to feel that space, then you'll start to get a sense for the shape of the eyeball itself. And the contrast between the tissue of the eye and the bone, the bony sort of hollow that it's sitting in, will also give you a read on how tense the eye feels. And you'll be able to relax it, not by going into the tension, but by feeling the eye. The orbit, the place where the eye sits. That will help you release the tension of the eye itself. When you can feel that, the gate that you're specifically feeling for and dissolving for is behind the eyeball, on the back of the eye. So as you hone your sensitivity to your eyes, that's where you'll tend to look for the gate, where the optic nerve connects into the eye. And now, feeling down to the ears. We're not feeling deep into the sort of canals of the ears, fairly surface layer. But feel the left side and the right side. And again, largely just stabilizing your awareness so that it's on both sides of the body at the same time. That's a very different way of feeling and using the mind than we're often used to. And then from your ears, feel into the jaw. You want to feel the hinges of the jaw, as well as down along the jaw, sort of at the base of the mouth. If you dropped lines right down from the corners of your mouth on both sides, that's roughly where the gates are. There are 4 minor gates of the jaw. It's roughly where they are. The bottom 2 are. And the other 2 are sort of where the hinges are. So feel those 4 jaw points simultaneously. So this is a lot of fine detail work in the head. And what you want to do now is make sure, just in a very general way for the next few minutes, that you're syncing the mind through the rest of the body. This prevents the energy from getting stuck in the head and gives you a more integrated sense of the whole body. But these early workouts with the gates of the head and the face especially, we're so used to focusing there and being up in our heads literally that you really want to make sure that you've got the integration going through the rest of the body. So now, just feel in a general way through the neck, tops of the shoulders, starting to let the mind soak into all the tissues that you feel, and this will bring the energy down. Feel the center of the chest, the upper back between the shoulder blades, the rib cage. Again, just broadly feeling sort of large sections all at once. You're not doing the fine detail work of the gates now. It's the syncing to make sure that you've got root and integration. So feel through the lower ribs as well. Through the front and the back of the body, and the sides too, as much as you can, feeling all the way around. And now down through the belly and the lower back. And even though breathing isn't our primary focus in this standing practice, here if you feel the gentle rhythm of the diaphragm moving up and down to draw air in and out of the lungs, feel how that should loosen and massage the belly. So you don't want to hold a lot of tension in the belly when you stand. You're going to find the right amount of structure to hold yourself up with gravity over time, but then use the mechanism of the breath to sort of massage and release anything else that you feel, especially in this area of the body. And instead of holding the tension in the belly, let the weight as best you can fall into the hips and the pelvis. So especially through the sacrum and the back of the pelvis. That's a major support structure of the body. You can let the whole upper body release to that, and that'll help you pass the weight down through the legs and into the floor. And feel through the thighs. Again, if they're working a little bit, if you drop into your stance a little bit, now really useful for this clearing process to feel the weight passing through the legs and not getting stuck in the legs. But at the same time, letting the legs take on a fair amount of weight and pressure here. It's good. It'll separate the heaviness in the lower body from the lightness in the upper body and really ground you. So without collapsing the knees, keeping just enough lift in the back of the knees, again feel down through the knees to the shins and calves until you got this opening through the ankles and down into the feet. Just feeling the feet spread and release into the floor. Taking as much time as you want Just finding that connection and enjoying the connection to the ground after you've completed the scan through the whole body. Good job.